Imagine a place where the ocean floor is cracking open, boiling water shoots out like liquid fire, and toxic chemicals fill the water strong enough to melt metal. Now imagine something alive living inside that, not just surviving, but thriving. Deep beneath the ocean, inside underwater volcanoes, where temperatures reach the point of boiling, where pressure can crush a submarine, and where the water is basically acid, life still exists. Not normal life. Not anything close to what we know, but creatures so strange, so engineered for hell, that scientists once believed they couldn't possibly exist. Yet here they are, hidden in the underwater fire. Today, we're diving into one of Earth's most unbelievable secrets, the creatures that live inside underwater volcanoes. To understand how anything survives down here, we need to step into a world humans were never meant to see. An underwater volcano isn't just a crack in the seafloor, it's a pressure cooker, a place where Earth's interior meets the deep ocean. The moment the crust opens, scalding water blasts out at temperatures that can reach 700 degrees Fahrenheit, 370 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough to melt lead, but it's not just heat. This water is filled with toxic chemicals, hydrogen sulfide, methane, iron, mercury, a chemical cocktail deadly to almost every known form of life. The water is black, thick, and looks like smoke rising from the seafloor. The pressure? It's so intense that a human body would collapse instantly. There's no sunlight, no oxygen, no plants, nothing that should support life. And yet, something does live here. Something adapted to survive the impossible. Around these volcanic vents, life has built entire ecosystems. Cities of strange creatures thriving where life shouldn't exist at all. This isn't just the deep sea, it's Earth's closest version of another planet. Before we meet the big creatures, we have to start with the smallest, and because they're the real rulers of underwater volcanoes. These are the hyperthermophils. Microbes so tough, they don't just tolerate extreme heat, they depend on it. Some of them survive at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, 121 degrees Celsius, temperatures that kill every human, every fish, every plant, every normal organism. One species, strain 121, can live through conditions hotter than boiling water. Another microbe, Pyrolobus fumari, doesn't just survive inside volcanic vents. It dies if the water gets too cold. To them, our idea of normal is freezing. These microbes eat chemicals instead of food. Hydrogen sulfide, methane, iron, sulfur. Things that are toxic to us are fuel to them. They're tiny, invisible, and almost impossible to kill. And here's the wildest part. Without these microbes, nothing else could live near underwater volcanoes. They are the foundation. The first life forms that take raw volcanic chemicals and turn them into energy. Energy that bigger, stranger creatures feed on. They are the spark that keeps life running inside this underwater inferno. And thanks to them, the next creatures on this journey can exist at all. Now that we've met the heat-proof microbes, it's time for one of the strangest life strategies on Earth. Eating metal. Down inside underwater volcanoes where minerals explode out of the seafloor, some creatures evolved to use metal the same way we use food. Meet the iron-eating bacteria. These microbes consume iron particles drifting from volcanic vents and convert them into energy. They leave behind rusty orange mats that look like underwater carpets, entire landscapes painted by living creatures. But the real shock comes from the sulfur-eating microbes. These organisms feed on pure sulfur, a chemical so toxic it smells like rotten eggs and can kill humans in seconds. To them, it's not poison, it's dinner, and they're not alone. Some species form metal towers as they feed, building chimney-like structures using iron and sulfur. These towers can grow several feet tall, created entirely by tiny organisms eating metal and transforming it into life. Imagine a creature so different from us that it can survive in boiling water, breathe chemicals, and digest pure minerals. That's what life looks like inside an underwater volcano. But the deeper we go, the stranger it gets, because now we reach the creatures living inside the volcanic chimneys themselves. If underwater volcanoes are Earth's natural furnaces, then black smokers are the chimneys, towers that spew boiling, chemical-filled water into the dark ocean. They look like underwater factories blowing out clouds of black smoke. But that smoke is actually superheated water packed with minerals, metal particles, and toxic gases. And, unbelievably, creatures live inside and around these chimneys. At the very edges of the vents where hot water meets cold ocean, live organisms perfectly adapted to survive temperatures that swing from deadly hot to freezing in seconds. Some of the strangest include Pompeii worms. These worms cling to the chimneys in tight groups. Their backs can handle temperatures up to 176 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Celsius, hotter than most ovens, but their heads stay in cold water. They literally live with half their body in fire and the other half in ice. Vent shrimp. These shrimp gather so close to the volcanic flow that their shells glow. They're completely blind. Instead, they use heat sensors on their backs to see hot water. Vent crabs. Small white crabs crawl around the chimneys feeding on bacteria growing on the volcanic rock. They don't hunt, they don't forage, they simply scrape life off stone. These creatures live on the edge of survival every second. One step too close to the vent, they boil. One step too far, they freeze. But black smokers don't just support individuals. They support entire cities of life. And next, we explore the biggest, most unbelievable colonies hiding in the volcanic dark. Deep around underwater volcanoes, giant white towers rise from the ocean floor, not made of rock, not made of coral, but made of living creatures. These are the giant tube worms. They grow more than 8 feet long, packed together in massive colonies that look like underwater skyscrapers. Their white tubes and bright red plumes make them look almost alien, like something from another planet. What makes them truly unbelievable is this: they have no mouth, no stomach, no way to eat food. So how do they survive near an underwater volcano? They rely on a powerful partnership. Inside each tube worm lives a community of special bacteria that feed on volcanic chemicals. The tube worm gives them a home, and in return, the bacteria produce energy that keeps the worm alive. It's a perfect biological deal. A creature powered by microbes, designed to live in a place where regular food doesn't exist. These colonies spread across volcanic vents, forming massive cities full of life, color, and movement, all built around chemical energy instead of sunlight. If the surface world runs on plants, the deep volcanic world runs on chemistry. But tube worms aren't the only ones who thrive here. In these glowing volcanic cities live creatures that evolved in complete darkness. Creatures that no longer need eyes at all. Down in the volcanic darkness, where light has never existed, some creatures evolved in a way that feels almost supernatural. They live and hunt without eyes. Meet the vent shrimp, one of the strangest animals near underwater volcanoes. They're born with tiny eyes, but as soon as they grow up, those eyes stop working completely. In total darkness, eyes are useless, so evolution simply shut them off. Instead of vision, these shrimp developed heat sensors on their backs. They see by feeling temperature. Hotter water means danger, colder water means safety. They navigate volcanic vents the same way we navigate by sound. Then there's the blind cave fish of the deep sea. Pale, ghost-like creatures with smooth skin and no eyes at all. They've replaced sight with ultra-sensitive pressure sensors, allowing them to detect even the smallest movements in the water. But one of the strangest is the vent crab, a tiny white crab that lives in the volcanic chimneys. Its eyes are reduced to small dots, barely functional, almost decorative. It doesn't need sight. It simply follows chemical signals in the water, tracking bacteria and food sources around the vents. For us, losing our vision feels like losing half the world. But down here, where fire and darkness meet, vision is irrelevant. Life doesn't adapt to what makes sense. It adapts to whatever keeps it alive. And in these volcanic environments, even poison becomes an energy source, which leads us to the next unbelievable chapter. In most places on Earth, poison means death. But inside underwater volcanoes, poison becomes power. Here, life doesn't avoid toxic chemicals. It uses them the same way we use food. One of the most incredible examples is the sulfur oxidizing bacteria. To us, hydrogen sulfide is deadly. Breathing it can kill a human in minutes, but these bacteria breathe it naturally, converting toxic gas into pure energy. These microbes are the engines of the volcanic ecosystem. Without them, every larger creature would starve. Then we have the methane-eating microbes. They live on methane gas leaking from volcanic vents, gas so explosive it can fuel engines. To these organisms, it's just another meal, but the strangest of all might be the arsenic-eating microbes. Arsenic is one of the most dangerous substances on the planet, yet these microbes use it the way plants use sunlight. They convert it into energy with no harm at all. Imagine an animal that breathes poison, eats toxic minerals, and lives in boiling water filled with metals. Down here, chemicals that kill life on the surface create entire food chains. In the volcanic deep, poison isn't a threat, and it's survival. But what kind of creatures can survive all of it? The heat, the acid, the pressure, and the toxins combined? The answer lies in the next chapter, and it pushes the limits of what life on Earth can handle. At this point, you might think we've seen the toughest creatures on Earth, but underwater volcanoes hide beings that go beyond toughness. Creatures that survive acid, fire, pressure, and poison all at once. These are the true champions of the volcanic deep. The acid-proof snails. One of the most unbelievable animals near volcanic vents is the scaly foot snail. Its shell isn't made of normal calcium, it's armored with iron and sulfur taken straight from the volcano. This snail literally wears metal armor. Its foot is coated in iron scales, like a miniature dragon crawling across the ocean floor. It survives water so acidic that it would burn human skin instantly. Then we meet the Pompeii worm, one of the most heat-resistant animals ever discovered. Its back is covered with bacteria that act like living insulation, protecting it from extreme temperatures. Its front stays in cold water, its back endures volcanic heat, a creature designed to live between fire and ice. The pressure survivors. Near these vents, the pressure is so intense it would crush submarine. Yet small crustaceans, blind shrimp, and ghost white crabs move around like nothing is happening. Their shells, muscles, and cells evolve to resist forces thousands of times stronger than anything on the surface. The toxin-proof microbes. Some microorganisms near volcanic vents can survive in water filled with sulfuric acid, heavy metals, methane, hydrogen sulfide. For them, toxicity isn't a threat, it's fuel. These creatures represent the absolute limit of life, pushing biology into places humans once believed were completely dead. And their existence raises a final, incredible question. After everything we've seen, animals living in boiling water, microbes breathing poison, snails wearing metal armor, one question remains. How can life exist in a place that looks like hell? The simple answer is evolution. Life adapts, it always has. But the deeper answer is something more surprising. Life doesn't need sunlight. It doesn't need oxygen. It doesn't even need normal food. All it needs is energy. And underwater volcanoes are overflowing with it. Where humans see danger, heat, acid, fire, darkness, nature sees opportunity. These creatures evolved to use everything we fear. Poison becomes fuel, metal becomes armor, heat becomes home. And maybe that's the most powerful lesson hidden in the volcanic deep. Life is not fragile. Life is creative. Life will find a way in places we never expect. If it can exist here, inside underwater volcanoes, surrounded by fire and acid, then life could exist anywhere. Maybe on icy moons, maybe on distant planets, maybe in places we haven't even imagined yet. The volcanic creatures of the deep aren't just strange. They're proof that the universe might be full of life. Life that survives not in comfort, but in chaos. In the end, underwater volcanoes remind us of one truth. Life never asks for a perfect world. It simply adapts to the world it gets.